Good evening, everybody. Come on in, take a seat, join us for this week's episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT network here at Center Ice. I am Nick, and unfortunately, Brit has a bye week this week, so you're stuck with me once again. I apologize. But we still have a good amount of things to talk about that we hadn't been able to get to last week, so we'll just kind of continue on with that, as well as some additional news pieces. So go ahead, grab some popcorn, have a comfortable seat on your beanbag chair or wherever you're sitting, and we'll dive right into things. So before we begin, don't forget, everyone, to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can do so on the various social media platforms of your choosing. And if you want to follow us, we ask that you do so at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. All right, that being said, the episode title this week is Hockey is Back in Some Capacity. And what I mean by that is that tomorrow, officially, Avalanche sweaters will be on the ice. In fact, even today, NHL sweaters have been on the ice, as there have been some showcase games going on. The Avalanche are participating in one for, I don't want to say the Rocky Mountain area per se, but that'd be them, the Utah Mammoth, and the Vegas Golden Knights, all of which participating in a rookie showcase at the South Suburban Sports Complex in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. So kind of a home game, series of home games. They'll play tomorrow, Friday, and Sunday as well. The good news about this, though, is that hockey's here. Okay, let that sink in. Take a deep breath. Everyone can finally let go of that off-season tension that there's no NHL, there's no hockey. There is something back to at least inject back into the veins. So that's the good news. The only other downside is that you're just a little over a week away from actual meaningful preseason games. Now, that just then rolls into the fact that it's still a little under a month away from regular season, but hockey nonetheless is back. So that being said, I kind of wanted to dive in just a little bit to this roster that you'll be seeing tomorrow and Sunday to kind of break down a couple of players more than anything that I think are going to be noteworthy in some capacity for this showcase. The first one, I think this isn't going to be much of a surprise to anyone, is Cale Makar's brother, Taylor Makar. Now, Taylor, obviously University of Maine. Before that was Massachusetts. I mean, it was kind of all over with him. But he did eventually get up to the Colorado Eagles. Okay, now that's important because it's just next step in line before he makes it through to the NHL. Okay. It's big as well because they're still allowing him to be on this rookie showcase, which means that you don't have the tenure yet, right? And he has an opportunity to have some eyeballs put onto him. Okay. So if I'm Taylor Makar, left wing, a lot of people are going to be watching this. Okay. Well, when I say a lot, I should say the right people are going to be watching this. Okay. There's not a lot of depth or meaning behind it. No one really keeps track of, records over the years or necessarily anything like that. But what people do watch, what scouts are watching, or what coaches are watching, particularly since you're on the team, they're wanting to see how you do in an actual competitive atmosphere wearing, in our case, the Avalanche sweater. Okay. Whether you're playing the Mammoth, whether you're playing the Golden Knights, you have these opportunities to kind of put yourself on a map, basically. It might not shoot you right into the NHL. It might not shoot you up into a locked position, which we'll get into that in just a second. But what it does do is it puts you on notice, okay? In case of an injury, in case of somebody not doing as good and they're falling and they have to get sent down and you have to go and replace them. It's a way to demonstrate yourself, sell yourself, effectively to show that you have this capability. Now, if I'm Taylor McCarr, this is huge, right? I mean, if I'm any of these players, this is huge, right? It's the big thing with this, though, is that you are a McCarr, right? You have that last name, you have that lineage, that relationship with Brother Cale, who's one of the greatest defensemen of not only this generation, but potentially of all time, right? You have a little bit more weight riding on you, right? And it's unfortunate, obviously, because no two brothers are ever going to play the same. I mean, you've seen it all throughout the league, right? They're not going to play the same. They're not going to be the same, right? There are those few brothers that they all make it amongst the ranks. They all make it great. They're all doing, like Sedin brothers are the two that come to mind. Like, but not everyone can be that, okay? But you can. And Taylor McCarr has the chance to actually show that his work ethic, whatever workouts he's been doing, whatever effort he's put in, has the chance to lead him to a potential spot, most likely fourth line. But that's, it still feels like you're reaching, but you at least get eyeballs. You get that little bug in the coach's brain saying, hey, if so-and-so gets injured, I think we're going to put Taylor in to fill that spot, see how he does. Okay. So Taylor's got a lot of weight riding on him. And as a forward where you're expected to be a goal scorer, that's even more so. Okay. His competition, I mean, there's a lot of competition where not only you're trying to win as a team, but you're trying to prove yourself as a player individually. His biggest competition is the other forward that's going to be, again, not necessarily against him, but kind of competing for a similar spot, so to speak. And this one is more difficult because it's Nikita Prishkapov, who has time in the NHL. He's got a few games under his belt. That one's going to be difficult because he knows a few of the ropes. He's seen it. He's done it, right? He has a big chance to actually be the next guy up, okay? And we'll talk about who's currently in this roster spot on the Avs come opening night, right? And who I think it might be versus who it is now, who it's projected to be. We'll talk about that in just a second. However, Nikita Prishkapov, like I said before, has that experience in the league, and that is valuable. Okay. My guess is that they're giving him this because obviously the light tenure that he's had, and the fact that he can become a little bit more malleable, right? A little bit more moldable to go into this preseason, which I'm sure a lot of these people on the rookie showcase will have the chance to participate in a few preseason games. Okay. He's getting that conditioning. He's getting that first look, be it by preference, in my opinion, be it by, just how far along he is, how many years he's got, that kind of stuff. He, unfortunately, in front of Taylor McCarr, has that preference, if you ask me, right? Strictly because he's played in the league. So, that being said, are you going to see everyone giving it their best? Obviously. Are you going to see everyone playing as a team? Of course you are, right? However, everyone there is going to try and prove themselves, right? Everyone there is going to be in their own right showcasing what they are able to do, how well of a team member they're able to be, their passing ability. If you're, for example, someone like Sean Behrens, right? That was a name that we've talked about before. If you're, I mean, anyone. I really think anyone has this chance to do it. Rylan Kovacevic, right? It's not only your ability to play, it's your ability to be a playmaker. It's your ability to create opportunities and take them, okay? There's a lot going into this instead of just, finally hockey's back for the fans, okay? This is the development phase. And for the Avalanche, this is big because I believe it was The Athletic that we discussed last week. They pin the Colorado Avalanche dead last when it comes to future development. Okay, when it comes to the farm system, when it comes to the call-ups, when it's come to the future of the franchise, assuming it's with players brought up into the team instead of traded for, dealt away, all that kind of stuff. Okay, dead last, which is not fun to say when you're a team that has been in a Stanley Cup window, has won a Stanley Cup in the most recent of years. It's not fun to say that you don't really have anything other than you're stuck in the trade in, trade out, get veterans now, get people now, market, right? So to develop them, to get, how do I say, to get assets and to develop assets is a big deal. And this type of a development, this rookie showcase, is going to show to a lot of people just how well prepared the Avalanche are in the coming years, right? I'm not saying that everyone here has an equal shot to get up. I don't have, I'll say they have an equal opportunity, but it's going to show to a lot of people just exactly where the Avalanche sit. Okay, so it's going to be more than winning or losing. It's going to be kind of a lot of eyes on certain players. And in my opinion, it's Taylor Makar and it's Nikita Prishkapov. Okay, so that being said, those two are Eagles players, right? They are on the Colorado Eagles. We have seen them play. Now, what's hard about this, though, is there's a lot of competition already on the Eagles that's not on this roster, right? TJ Tynan, Fellhaber is another one, Steinberg, there's Bradley. I mean, I'm seeing all kinds of names that they're all jockeying for the position. They need to take advantage. If I'm Nikita Prishkapov, if I'm Taylor Makar, you take advantage of this showcase because you get the chance to do something that not everyone else gets to do from the Eagles. Okay. So switching gears a little bit here. As it currently sits, the fourth line on the Colorado Avalanche, according to Puckpedia, is Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, and Ivan, with the press box shaping up to be Nikita Prishkapov. Okay. So Nikita's got that, I don't want to call it a birthright as it were, but he's got that kind of upper hand, I guess you can say. Now, this fourth line, I think Parker Kelly locked in. I think Jack Drury locked in. Ivan is indeed who I think is going to be that last piece on the fourth line. Now, keep in mind, this is taking into account that Logan O'Connor is injured. He would slot in at the third line. Joel Kiviranta would drop down. However, you have until around Christmas. Okay? If you're Ivan, you have until around Christmas to make something happen, to create something out of nothing. Okay? Well, I shouldn't say create something out of nothing, but you get what I'm saying, right? To make a name for yourself, to show that you belong in the lineup and you've outmuscled people to the likes of Jack Drury and Parker Kelly. Okay. He does, in my opinion, Ivan have that full 200-foot game a little bit better than Nikita Prishkapov. Prishkapov, I think, has a little bit more of the offensive drive, I would say. That's not to say that Ivan doesn't. But Ivan's got a fuller 200-foot game. That's why I give him the preference. Now, if he does falter, yeah, I am going to give it to Nikita Prishkapov, right? I think he's the next guy in. And we even talked about this several weeks ago, right? About Ivan and Nikita Prishkapov specifically, right? They have that time from last year where they scored. In fact, I was in attendance in Salt Lake when Ivan scored his first career goal, right? He's got the know-how. He's been through the how should I say, the process of NHL, how it runs, how it works. That's why he gets preference. That's why I think he's going to be on that opening night roster. That's not a guarantee. That's just how I feel. But that's kind of where it's at, in my opinion. Let me know, obviously, you guys, as far as what you think, as far as is Ivan a lock? Is it Nikita Prishkopov? Do they give maybe Taylor McCarr the outside shot and bring him in? Or is it someone else? Like, is it a Fellhaber? Is it a TJ Tynan? Right? Let me know. Drop us a DM, shoot us a text. You can reach out to us on any of the socials, but let us know. Okay, that being said, that rookie showcase out of the way. We're a little over a week from preseason actually happening, like actual preseason games in Ball Arena or on the road. Professionals, people we know, people we love in some capacity actually playing hockey. Now, next week, obviously, we're going to get really into the last kind of tweaks, nuts and bolts, all that kind of stuff, things that where it's like, hey, make sure you're doing XYZ, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, minding your P's and Q's. But for right now, I do want to go into the depth chart a little bit to see just how each line should fare this season. Okay, this is, again, according to Puckpedia. I was going to start with defense and goalies. However, Brit, being a goalie in her beer league as she is, I do feel like I would be doing her a disservice if I talked about it without her. So I'm going to go into the forwards, okay, talk about them, and then next week we'll go into the defense and goaltending, okay? So that being said, as it currently sits, and maybe I agree with this for now, your left wing, your first line left wing is Arturi Lehkonen. Your center is Nathan MacKinnon, and your right wing is Martin Necas. This line is going to score the most points, okay? Do I think it's going to be as much as they were producing last year? Hard to say, but my guess is yes. Okay. They were relied on very heavily last year, especially in those crucial games where goals weren't coming very easily. Someone had to kickstart the offense. Someone had to swing the momentum into the Avalanche's favor. 8 times, out of 10, it was one of these three. It was someone on this top line that swung it, or at least one of those 3 players, I should say, that swung it. Arturi Lehkonen's got a big job, okay? We know him very well for his forechecking ability and the fact that he's always in the best position ever for putback goals, right? Or for quick one-timers right in front of the crease, right? It was actually quite a fun in that same game, or one of the same games, while they were here in Utah. I watched him score his hat trick, and I was just happy. Like it was incredible to see Arturi Lehkonen finally get his first career hat trick. When you think, oh, he's had plenty before with how many goals he scores. That was his first one, and it was actually really fun to watch. He has the playmaking ability. He's got that forecheck down. He knows what he's doing as far as positioning, okay? Nathan MacKinnon knows this. Nathan MacKinnon has played on the line with him for a little bit now, okay? MacKinnon is going to be obviously your prized horse, right? He's going to be on the Hart Trophy watch. He's going to be on the, insert any trophy name here watch, okay? He's Nathan MacKinnon. He's one of the greatest in the world, okay? He'll be your points guy, okay? He'll be your assist machine. He'll be your goal scorer. He'll take things into his own hands. He'll do whatever it needs to be done to win. That's his drive. We know this, okay? And to pair him with Martin Necas, now a full year with Necas, is going to be rather exciting because they showed a lot of blossoming chemistry, especially toward the end of the season, and even in but Necas particularly. I'm excited to see him on the power play. I've said this a couple of times already, and I'll continue to say it again. He takes shots. He will shoot at anything. Okay. His zone entries are so much fun to watch because he knows how to set up things. He knows how to kind of retrieve pucks. He knows how to shoot high. He knows how, he can do a lot of what Mikko Rantanen was able to do. And he has a different style that Mikko just didn't have, right? I'm not saying he's got more than what Mikko has. I'm just saying he's got something different that Mikko just didn't. Okay. It'll be a little awkward. It'll be a little weird not starting a season with Mikko Rantanen. I still don't think I'm fully ever going to get over this. But this top line is going to be the driving force when it comes to overall points production in the season. Okay. It's going to be very important to keep this line healthy. That being said, I am also particularly fond of the second line, consisting of Gabe Landeskog on the left wing, Brock Nelson in the center, and Val Nichushkin on the right wing. That's right, Big Val, right wing. It's going to be incredible. Okay, now here's where the dilemma begins. Okay, Gabe Landeskog, for those of you who remember, all those years ago, before his injuries and stuff, he was your grimy goals in the crease, putbacks, tips. He was that guy. He was that menace in the center that would screen, that would deflect, that would everything. Well, Val Nichushkin also took into that role while Gabe was away. Okay. So you've kind of got, I don't want to say two of the same type, but you now have conflicting styles effectively. I think it's going to be a very interesting dynamic to see just who does what. I think Val is, in my opinion, going to start as that guy in the center. And once Landeskog falls into his own, which I think will most likely be fairly quickly, I think you're going to see him repositioning himself right back into that right in front of the crease position, right down in the middle, right in the slot. And it's going to be great to watch. It really is. But you're starting the season out now with Landeskog, with Brock Nelson, and with Val Nichushkin, right? Something that you didn't have last year, or in this case, last 3 seasons. Okay. This is going to be an interesting one. This has the potential to not only set up Brock Nelson to be that bona fide 2C that we have been missing since Nazem Kadri left after we won the cup. It's going to be this opportunity. Okay. It's going to be this incredible experience for Brock Nelson to show that he's got the team chemistry, that he plays for Team USA for a reason, right? That he's got this entourage of Val Nichushkin who can score goals, Gabe Landeskog who can score goals, and Brock Nelson who can score goals. Okay. My hope is this with the second line, that they can shine, if not maybe outshine the first line. Not all the time, but a good amount. Okay. Where the first line doesn't always have to be that force that drags the momentum back their direction, or that actually puts them in the game, or that gets the first goal on the board. This second line has probably the greatest potential, I think is how I'll say it, to go out and take, or take's a strong word, but take points from the first line and give it to themselves, right? Not selfishly, obviously, but it's a really good second line. I'm really excited for the second line. So, top 6 overall picture, we're in excellent shape. I mean, everyone's a name for themselves. Everyone can score easily. Everyone knows what they're doing. It's incredible. I am very excited for this top 6. So, that being said, moving to the bottom 6. Your third line, I will start with. Your third line left wing right now is Victor Olofsson, recently acquired. Your third line center is Ross Colton. And currently, per Puckpedia, your third line right wing is Joel Kiviranta. Okay? So, Victor Olofsson had a very good year with the Vegas Golden Knights last season. Played surprisingly well. And if he ended up playing the full season, would have had a lot of points. And to go out and get him and that he's just on the third line is pretty impressive. Okay. My worry with this is that because he's third line, he kind of gets, for lack of a better term, lost in translation. Okay. He kind of gets buried underneath the top six who can already go and score goals plenty. Okay. He's going to have to make what make do with what he's given and then some. Okay. Now, that being said, I should have also clarified that even though these are the lines, Jared Bednar, in his infinite wisdom, shakes things up, and he will do so in the middle of a period. Okay. At the beginning of any period, at the beginning of any game, your lines are never, ever going to be completely the same every single game. Okay. That's just the Jared Bednar way of doing things. But assuming that is his line, the third line, he needs to take advantage against opposing third lines. And this could even go for Ross Colton and to the extent Joel Kiviranta, right? It's who your opponent is on that same line, right? Who that pairing is. Victor Olofsson had a great year, like I said. He has the opportunity to do a very wonderful job on the third line. It's just going to be a matter of, can he not only replicate what Mammoth was able to do, but do that and then some. Okay? Because that's the entire purpose of going and getting players. It's to make your team better. And in this case, it's to be more productive with points. Okay? I think he can do that. Ross Colton, he needs to have a bounce back year. It was a pretty down year for him. Obviously, I know that there were some injuries and things that he was dealing with. However, a bounce back year would be excellent for him. I remember his first year, he kind of put himself on a map. He won a lot of people's hearts. You ask Brit and I, it's pretty intoxicating when he's out on the ice, when he either scores or gets an assist, or he's part of that group that he's out on the ice when a goal is scored. He is the hype man. He gets excited. He is screaming. He is just going bonkers. It's intoxicating. Okay. That's something that I definitely miss. And I'm sure he misses as well. It's going to be big for him because he's sat behind Nathan MacKinnon and Brock Nelson. He's that next guy. I'm going to say the same thing with him, though. He can take advantage of the opposing third line because of, his ability. And that I think this third line rivals most, if not all, the other third lines in the league. Now, for Joel Kiviranta, this one's going to be interesting because Kiviranta hasn't started a season on a third line. He played remarkably well, had a hat trick or two, just one. He had 1 to 2 hat tricks last season. He scored several goals in sequential games. What am I trying to say? In games in a row. English is hard today. He's got a big opportunity with this. Okay. When he signed his deal, the $1.25 million, that to me was a big breath of fresh air because he knows the system very well. He's fast. He can be lethal. He's kind of that nimble little fox on the team, if I could kind of give a good analogy, to go and be that creator, okay, or that finisher. He's got a little bit of both of that in him, which I think he can play to his advantage. Now, he's going to be playing with the likes of Olofsson, who hasn't been on the Avalanche, and Ross Colton, who's coming into his own. That's the third line baseline, is that there's not a lot of chemistry there, right? There's actually zero because Olofsson is brand new. Okay. Is this going to be a shaky third line or is it not? On paper, it shouldn't be. Every individual player can hold their own just fine. However, together, that's going to be the question. Okay. Because it's, think first year with when you had Miles Wood, when you had Ross Colton, when you had Logan O'Connor, that Roaring 20s line was so much fun. It was so much fun. That was kind of the grit and tough line that would go out, muscle bodies off the puck, just play that gritty in your face, fight them up type style. Well, that's not exactly the same anymore. Okay, that's not to say that these boys can't hold their own, that Victor Olofsson or Ross Colton or Joel Kiviranta can't hold their own, but it's not, they got to create their own unique identity, I guess is the best way I can put this. Okay, whether for better, hopefully, or for worse. So, that being said, let's move now to the fourth line and actually talk about it instead of just kind of who's in, who's out. Parker Kelly and Jack Drury. I talked about these two, I believe, last week as far as my players to watch, and I'm still gonna hold true to that. Okay, they are, in my mind, two of the most important players. Not necessarily for the purpose of like getting out and getting goals, but with progression. Okay, with ability for improvement, with ability for developing into something much bigger, not just, going up a line, but their time on ice can improve, their ability can improve, their vision, their, playmaking ability, shot creating ability, that can all improve very, very much. Not to say that they're not, but they have a bigger potential. Parker Kelly, let's talk about him for just a second. I said this once, I'll say it again. I was so impressed in that game. I believe, I can't remember if it was Pittsburgh or Ottawa or somewhere back east. There was a penalty kill that he was a part of where he blocked, I think, like 6 shots almost in a row, or 4 shots or something like that, almost in a row. And it was impressive, right? It was extremely impressive. The fact that he just put his body out on the line just to save a win, I mean, awesome stuff. Like it made a fan out of me. He, along with Jack Drury, are actually spearheading the penalty kill. At least they should be, I should say. Both of them have, how should I say it? They kind of sell out, right? They go all out when it comes to defending, right? When it comes to those moments that matter the most, those two have this just sense, this natural reaction of blocking shots, right? Getting in the way. It's pretty good to watch because it's not very common that you'll have someone everyone will, but not everyone wants to. These two want to. Okay, you can kind of tell. So in Parker Kelly's case, he will get more goals than he had last season. I think so. At least he should. Assists wise, same thing. I noticed for a good few games, he was out on the ice with Nathan MacKinnon several times, right? Whenever Nate scored a goal or whenever Parker scored a goal, they were always next to each other, right? I noticed that a couple of times. Same thing with Jack Drury. We'll talk about him in a second. He was out there with Lehkonen and Natchez sometimes, okay? Like I was going about with the Jared Bednar line change. Now you see what I'm talking about. Parker Kelly is going to be very pivotal on this fourth line, okay? Because he has that goal-creating ability. He's got that defensive mentality that's going to make him a very good overall player, okay? An all-around player, I should say. Jack Drury, on the other hand, he very much takes advantage of the things that he's given, right? You see him on these breakaways all the time. You see him in these great positions all the time. He got a good number of goals himself during his time after the trade last year. Do I think he'll have more points as well? I absolutely do. Okay. I think he's going to be that Parker Kelly 2.0, whereas Parker kept more of that shot. Jack Drury's got that drive, right? Put those two together, it makes for a pretty screaming good fourth line. Okay. The next one is Ivan, who currently, like I said before, has that better overall game than Nikita Priskopov. If he's paired, or if he's currently on the line as it sits with Jack Drury, Parker Kelly, he should be fine. He should be in pretty all right hands. Okay. However, The falter is, once again, that you're buried under jargon, right? You're buried under every name that's above you, okay? Now, the saving grace to that is that Jared Bednar switches up the lines, but needless to say, if you are not doing well out there on this bottom six, on the bottom line particularly, you do get less. You are given less because, yeah, your filler, as it were, still important, but filler, you're given less. You need to take advantage of every time that you're out on the ice. You need to take advantage of every possession that you have against opposing fourth lines. Okay. You need to make sure that every play is played like it might be your last shift, right? Like you need to play with that urgency. And I will say that word a lot during this season is urgency. If the bottom six needs to have just a big neon sign right in front of them, it's urgency. Okay. They're going to be very pivotal as far as cleaning up on the back end because you can't rely on just top six all the time to be your only points producers. Because if that's the case, they eventually get gas. They eventually wear out. They eventually go cold from time to time. Okay. If I'm bottom six, I am taking advantage of any opportunity I have. I'm taking advantage of any shift I have, not just to say, hey, top six, we're coming for you. Like, you better mind your P's and Q's or we're actually going to be replacing you, right? Good mentality to have. But it's hey, these guys are struggling. The top six is struggling right now. We need to take the initiative. We need to go out there and get goals. We need to go out there and get the puck back. We need to take momentum. Everything to that extent. That's going to be the bottom six's MO. The third line, the fourth line, anyone who's in there. Okay. Could be the six that I mentioned now, could be added addition of Prishkapov or Taylor McCarr or insert player here, whoever we trade for, or eventually, or whatever. It's that MO is to say, hey, the supporting cast is needed. Okay. It's our time to step up. It's our time to go and get those goals when it's just not clicking for the top six. Okay. So that being said, those are the forwards and by line. Okay. As far as where I think they're going to sit, where I think everyone's going to be. So that being said, I don't think I'm going to go into individual points, like how many points I think each player is going to get. I think I'll save that. However, no, I almost went into the defense and goalies. I could, but that would, again, I don't feel like that would be doing Brit a service. So overall thoughts of the forwards, we're in good shape. I mean, the depth, like I talked about in weeks prior, and Brit has obviously brought this up several times, the depth looks great. The fact that you are starting this season with Landeskog, with Nichushkin, with Natchez, with Nelson, with Olofsson, right, is huge. It's very impressive to see that this could be an important start to the season because then it dictates, especially later down toward the last games of the season, your positioning. We brought this up, and I'll bring it up one more time for those of you who have not seen last week's episode. The start of last season, in my opinion, is ultimately what folded over the Avalanche at the end of the season. Rocky starts, ruts, losing streaks, people not being to get there, not getting onto their game. The fact that, obviously Landeskog wasn't there. Goaltending was an issue, right? You trade away both of them, both Alexander Georgiev, who, by the way, signed a deal in Buffalo. You get rid of those two, and you bring in Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, and things flipped. Now that you're starting with them, now that you have this entire cast of forwards that can go and score, that can defend very well, that have great positioning, their hockey IQ is going to be excellent with their coaching, the coaching staff that's there. This could make for an excellent start to the season. Now, could it go full Nashville and everything just goes south? Yeah, it could. Do I want it to? No, not even close. But just on paper, just looking at this the forwards roster, we look to be in a very healthy, very great shape. The only piece is Logan O'Connor. That's it. Like if that's the only downside to this, I mean, round of applause, right? It's going to be a good start to the season, I think. And that is going to, like I said, that will dictate later down the road how the end of the season positioning works as far as your divisional rank. That's why, like I said last week, the Avalanche are going to be top 2. And it's because of these first, call it 21 games. Okay. It's because of the firepower that rivals something to the extent of what Dallas had, what Winnipeg had, other divisional teams, that they had the depth that could go through any day of the week and score. They have it. They finally have it after, in my opinion, 3 seasons of, you had something, but it just wasn't there. Now you do. Now the excuses can go away, so to speak. And you can just play. You can focus on the chemistry. You can focus on the urgency. And you can focus on staying ahead of the curve from the first game, from the puck drop on game 1. You can focus on winning instead of what's going to happen with Val when he comes back. How are we going to slot him in? Instead of worrying about, is Landeskog even going to be alive by the end of the season, right? Instead of worrying about all that, it's here. You have it. It's now just worrying about the game that these fellas fell in love with, the game that everyone enjoys watching, and to see the chemistry grow with this team. It's got potential. I'm telling you this right now. It has potential, and I am extremely excited to see what happens. So that being said, I think we'll run this episode into the ground today. I'll save all of my other comments and whatnot for next week when Brit is back. She had some career obligations, I should say, being the MC for the Muskies. So hopefully everything is going good as she's prepping for her season as well. So yeah, I think we'll call that a day here. So that being said, thank you everyone for joining us on this episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast. Again, if you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can do so on the various social media platforms of your choosing. And if you want to follow us, we ask that you do so at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, hockey's back, guys. It's time to get excited. It's time to show that you got to shake off that summer dust, that off-season dust, and get excited. Get in the mood for hockey. It's kind of that mood of like, well, once football starts, hockey's really right around the corner. So get the hockey sticks out, get the gloves out of the closet, start shaking them off, start getting those warm-up shots in the driveway, dent your garage door if you have to, because we're a little over a week away before the preseason of the 2025-2026 NHL season for the Colorado Avalanche. So that being said, hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Little shout out as this episode is recorded on 9/11. Just sending our thoughts and prayers to all the victims from 2001, from the tragedy. Hopefully everyone out there is safe. Hopefully everyone out there is doing well. We will never forget. We thank everyone involved on that fateful day all those years ago. And yeah, just want to send our respects to you. So that being said, have a good weekend, like I said. And as always, go Avs go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.